So what's your advice to someone to avoid letting the haters, for lack of a better phrase, get to them?
You have to have the mental toughness to ignore them and to take it all in stride.
Hey, what's going on? It's Scott. You know, good and dang well, I like to talk about police officer wellness, but something I came across the other day just set me off because it's very frustrating how the job of policing is stressful enough as is. But then you have this divisive rhetoric. There are people with agendas. There are people just saying blanketed hate that reaches no solution at all. And believe me, there need to be solutions because there are areas where policing has to improve. There are things that need to be done for police officers to get better on the job. I get that. And I'm all for having conversations that need to happen. And I reached out to someone who I knew would be great at addressing it. He's very outspoken on Twitter. He's articulate on Twitter. He's got a podcast of his own, and his name is Zeek Arkham. He's a 16-year veteran police officer, and I'm pretty sure you'll be impressed by him. So I started out by asking Zeek, why did you become a cop?
First of all, thanks for having me. What got me into it was, I've always respected cops. I've always thought that they were honorable people. I've always thought it was an honorable profession. You know, I had a lot of good experiences growing up as far as I got taken on a school trip one time and there were a bunch of cops with us. So I got to talk to them and ask them questions and see that they're people just like we are. You know, worked with cops, cops in an off-duty capacity before I was in law enforcement. So I've always respected, I come from a law enforcement family. So I've always been raised to respect cops. I've always been raised to respect law and order. I've had a great career. The past 16 years have sort of flown by. I don't regret a thing.
I'm glad you said that because there are plenty of officers out there like yourself that are really enjoying it still, even though there's a lot against you. You just stand up knowing who you are and what you're doing and for the right solid reasons. Kind of leads me into my next question. There are people who are still wanting to be police officers. So what's your advice to someone who is wanting to get into it to avoid letting the haters, for lack of a better phrase, get to them?
Well, you have to look at who's doing the hating. The BLMs of the world who are being exposed every day as crooks. The Al Sharptons of the world who are quite literally making money off of division, the press who wants to make money off of division, politicians who want to keep their jobs off of division. You look at who's making the money. Look at who's doing the hating, who's anti-cop. It's everyone with an agenda. The regular people in the neighborhoods are thankful for you to be there. I experience it every day. People in the neighborhoods who want you there, who want security, who want to feel safe in their neighborhoods. They thank you for what you're doing. You'll see them in the street and they'll come and give you the nod. They'll look for you if you develop enough of a rapport with them. They're there for you. If anything, you have to have the mental toughness to ignore them and to take it all in stride. So if you're dating a gorgeous woman, there's going to be people out there who hate on you because they see you with this woman and they're like, what does he have that I don't have? They're going to hate. If you're driving a great car, they're going to look on you and hate and go, hey, how's he have that car? It's the same thing. When you're a cop, you got to look at who's hating on you. The people that don't want you there, the people that are jealous of what you have. And you take it all in stride. You just shrug your shoulders and you go into work the next day.
That was a very dynamic answer. I'm tired of the agenda. I'm absolutely sick of it. When those 5 police officers in Dallas were killed, I'll never forget the Chief Brown at the time. He's in Chicago now, but he said, if you want to be part of change in police or you want to be part of seeing police being held differently, he said, just put in a job application. We're always hiring. And yet you don't see these people willing to put in a job application to be police officers.
I always laugh at the people that go, oh, it's so easy to be a cop. It's so easy to be, all you do is go through 6 months of academy. Anybody can be a cop. You don't have to really be that smart to be a cop. Well, show me how it's done then. Fill out an application. Everyone I've ever said that to has come up with more reasons and mental gymnastics as to why they can't take the job. Oh, well, I can't take the job because, my back, I got a bad back. I would take it if it weren't for a fact that, just my knee, well, then you have nothing to say. If you can't take the job, whether it's physically or because you think it's beneath, you are not in the place to be giving advice to anyone.
No, really not. That's a very good point. I've heard it when I joined the Marines and I was in the Marines. And then when I heard in the police, you also hear that phrase, oh, I almost joined the Marines. Oh, I almost became a police officer. But then they'll be the first to, criticize what we do as if they've been in those situations before. I know we could talk all day about this kind of stuff. Zeke, I want to come back around to you and your career. What's been your top ways of coping with the stress, demands, and trauma you are exposed to on the job?
I'm a gym rat. I'll admit it. I'm in the gym 4 or 5 times a week. If I weren't married with a family, I'd be there every day. It's something I'm passionate about, trying to help cops find ways to cope with the stress of the job. We see a lot more than anyone else. EMTs and paramedics and firefighters, we see the domestic jobs. We see the broken families. We see the abused children. Cops see it all. As a good buddy of mine said, we're the bottom rung, and it wears on us. There are a lot of cops that are like, oh, I'm fine. It doesn't wear on me. It wears on all of us, and it takes a toll mentally. Thankfully, my wife understands when I get home. I'm not chatty. I don't want to sit and talk about my day. I have a friend that's a nurse that she said, just because I say I've had a good day doesn't mean it was an easy day.
Yeah.
So I might have only seen one DOA that day. And to me, that's a good day because it was only one DOA. I try to dissuade cops from drinking. I try to dissuade cops from going out and doing other hurtful, harmful behavior just because it does affect you negatively in the future.
Absolutely.
I have a good friend of mine who I worked with, who I was friends with for a long time, who was there when I was a rookie and helped to train me, who killed himself. I never want to get to that point where, I don't have time for someone who needs help. So I always encourage, hey, come to the gym with me. Learn to work out, learn to push some weights, play video games. I know, in certain elements, video games is stigmatized, but, hey, play video. If it helps you, if it gets those bad thoughts out of you and quiets the demons, do it. Plant a garden, do whatever you got to do, but just don't indulge in harmful behavior.
And coping is one of those you have to stay active in. And I'm glad you brought up that phrase that a lot of cops say. I mean, I said it when I talk about in my courses about police officer resiliency and personal wellness. The last thing you want to say is, I'm fine, when you're not. Like, you can say something like, yeah, I didn't like seeing that. That upset me. Just something as simple as that. At least acknowledge it. Don't try to suppress it and be like, I'm fine, and then don't actively cope.
Yeah, we're supposed to, as cops, be these tough people. When I was a rookie, they said, "Oh, a good cop never cries. A good cop never feels anything. A good cop never gets wet. A good cop never gets tired." It's almost like it's time to put that mentality away.
Well, it's unavoidable. You're going to get tired. You're going to feel emotions. You're going to have fear on certain things, but yet have to have the courage to step through it. I mean, it says you're human.
Exactly. Yeah, it almost dehumanizes cops to the point where we have to be these robots. And it's like, no, we're allowed to feel sad. We're allowed to be human beings.
Zeek, let me ask you, do you think the trauma exposure on the job is what has been more stressful to you or police in general? Or do you think like this outside stress of the negative rhetoric around policing can be just as stressful as some of the encounters you can have on the job?
It's all the above. It's already a hard job. We're dealing with domestics. We're dealing with people that say, I ain't going back. And now you've got this added stress of everyone wants to record you because they want their 15 seconds of YouTube fame. You've got politicians that want to condemn you for political points, because they want to appease the outrage mob. They want to appease the woke crowd.
Yep.
You've got people now talking about YouTube fame. You've got people now that are going up to cops and directly picking fights with them while recording it and putting it on YouTube, and they get their views. This is how they make money. The politicians of the world who have their own security details, but they're trying to defund the police.
Oh gosh, don't even get me started on that. And then we, as I'm looking at it right now, and I think you've got it up on your computer as well, education system now, apparently we have to worry about that trying to plot against cops. I'm looking at a headline that says, Wentzville parents call classroom question about shootings divisive. And it's this word problem. And it says, Teresa has heard in the news about the fatal shootings of unarmed African-American men by police officers, but does not think it's necessarily due to racism. Teresa is most likely A, Democrat, B, Black woman, C, Republican, D, Democrat-leaning woman. And I don't understand how they think this kind of stuff is going to help society. If there's an unjust shooting, if there's a crime committed by a police officer, you won't hear police officers say, no, let them go. No, absolutely not. We like accountability. But yet this kind of stuff, what do we do going forward?
I've always said we've got to hold teachers a lot more accountable. I support teachers. I back teachers. I'm friends with a lot of teachers. But you've now got this new wave of activist teachers that see themselves more as activists than teachers, than educators. And this has to stop. This has to be addressed. We need to start holding educators responsible. As cops, we have to wear body cams to make sure that everyone is honest.
Oh, yeah.
Cops, people, criminals, everybody. why not do the same thing for teachers?
I like to tell the people that bring on the hate, the politicians, Black Lives Matter organization, the teachers like this, go on ride-alongs, go to police citizens academies. Come on now, get yourself actually talking to police officers. I think your mind will be changed dramatically. I mean, it really will.
Well, they won't do that.
No, of course not. No, it's too easy just to talk. So, man, I swear. Any last bit of advice you want to give or encouragement you want to give to police officers across the country?
Yeah, just remember, it's not an easy job, but it's a fulfilling job. You know, we've got people who thank you from the bottom of their hearts just for being out there. Even in the projects, when I used to work in the projects, and you run into people when they know that you're not, you know, when you see them as just people and you're giving them, you know, basic dignity, they'll give it back to you tenfold.
Absolutely.
You know, and I worked in the projects and I was there for a couple of months and I got to know a lot of people. And on my last day, they actually threw like a little mini party for me.
Wow,
you know, because
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, because I would go up to them, I would talk to them, I make it a point to talk to them, and you know, hey, no, this is my boy, Officer Arkham.
Last but not least, where can people find you and follow you? I'm going to tell you right now, before you give your Twitter handle out, let me tell you, Zeek is hilarious on Twitter. His replies to certain people have me rolling. So anyway, I'll flash up one of my favorite ones like you had over the weekend. I was literally laughing out loud when I read it. But anyway, where can people find you, follow you? What's the best way?
Twitter is my main social media outlet. Zeek Arkham, ZeekArkham. I'm also on Instagram. I'm also on YouTube. Just look up Zeek Arkham. You'll see my page. And I have my podcast, Reasonable Suspicion, which we're in our second season. And we just went over 10,000 downloads. So awesome. I'm ecstatic about that.